What's going on, everyone? So we've had Invisible Woman out for a little bit now, few days. I don't even know. I've lost track. I haven't really got to play her a ton for a couple reasons. Obviously, the first few days, everybody was insta-locking her. Suddenly, all the DPS players were strategist mains. Once the gooning was over, I was able to get my hands on her a little bit more to play her, and I actually really like her. That said, Cloak and Dagger are kind of busted right now, so I've been mostly focusing on them. But yeah, I've got about a little 3 and a bit hours on her so far, and again, I really like her. So I wanted to go and do a little bit of tips and tricks kind of video, just an early one. I don't think it's going to be anything too crazy. I'm sure a lot of people have figured out some of these themselves, but figured I'd get this out there so people can kind of get an idea of, or maybe figure out some things they haven't discovered on her yet. So yeah, I have a little bit of time in her, but I've been playing a lot of Cloak and Dagger. She's just really good right now. She gets her ult so fast, or they get their ult really fast. But yeah, so to start off with, for me, she's kind of situational. In the sense that she's pretty good in general, but if I have like a dive comp team, I usually would rather have Cloak and Dagger. You can still make it work. You can still put your shields and stuff on your dive characters like a Black Panther or a Psylocke or whatever, but it's not quite as effective, and it can be a little bit harder to do. But yeah, with like somebody like a Punisher or a Moon Knight or anybody that really sits, I guess a Black Widow, if you get one of those on your team, anybody who's kind of a little more stationary. If you have more of a stationary team, she's great. Like if I have a Punisher on my team, I will do everything in my power to pocket him. If he's got his turret out, I got my shield on him. If he's just shooting, if we got a rocket on our team, giving him infinite ammo, throw my shield in front of him so he can just blast away safely. Really good for stuff like that. Even if we have flyers, it can be a little bit rough because obviously flyers tend to move around a lot. But you can still pop your shield on them and they have that shield up in the air for them a little bit. If they know what they're doing, they know that they can play behind it, get healed, that kind of thing. But yeah, typically flyers, dive comps, I'll probably gravitate a little bit more towards Cloak and Dagger. If we have a Cloak and Dagger on our team already, then I'd probably just play her. If we get a name where I do like Luna or something like that. So it's really nice having a bunch of characters I really enjoy playing. Funny enough, I mained Mantis last season and I haven't touched her at all this season. Not that I think she's bad. It's just I've been having fun with everybody else. But yeah, for me, she's a little situational, but super fun to play. And I try and play her whenever I can. As long as we have a Cloak and Dagger, I'm happy to play her. So we'll jump into the practice range here just so I can show off a few of these things as we talk about them. We're not going to go over her kit. You can all kind of go into the game and see her kit for yourself. So we don't really need to do that. But I will kind of talk about little things. Ignore that. We had some rough games earlier.
Now I see them.
So starting off, I really like her mobility with her double jump. It can get you up to high ground. It's something I really but I wish I had on Mantis. The ability is really weird that Mantis doesn't have any sort of mobility like that. She's She's got her movement speed and stuff, but you'd think she'd have some height advantage kind of stuff. I'd be able to jump, you know? But really like her double jump for that kind of thing. But also it doubles as you go, a way to make you invisible. And obviously, again, we're not going to go over her kit fully, but her passive, her covert advance, when she goes invisible, she heals over time. So if you are out of combat, you're in a fight, you can double jump, go invisible, you start regenning immediately. So obviously use your double jump sparingly because you might need it to go invisible, to regen or whatever, reposition, that kind of thing. Really good for that. If you're in trouble in a fight, funny, she just said trouble. If you're in trouble in a fight, you can kind of just get behind a corner and still go right back to healing your team. So yeah, really, really good stuff there. Love her mobility, super fun. Now here's a big one that it's not really new tech or anything. It's something we've had with other characters, but the ability to push and pull. Obviously characters like Bucky or Spider-Man, Thor, they all have some sort of push or pull. But hers, I feel, is probably better than most. So you can push multiple enemies, or pull. I think you can pull multiple enemies too. I'm gonna turn this on quick. Yeah, you can push or pull, and it does damage at the same time. Now, obviously, there's a lot of uses for that. You can use it to get people away from you, but one of the most fun and probably annoying for my enemies is that I like to, if somebody's like super hurt and trying to get away, pull them right back in, or throw down your orb, pull them right back in. Really like it for that. I don't know why, I just healed out of instinct there. Really like the push and pull. I had a game the other day where I was actually able to, it went to overtime. We were on the point. They had a Hulk on the point contesting it, and he had his reinforcements coming in. When the overtime timer gets to the very end, it stays there until somebody gets off the point. I pushed the Hulk off the point and we won the round. Would we have won still? Probably. We had, I think, our whole team on the point and they were just kind of staggering in, but it instantly ended that round because I pushed him off. So really good stuff there. I believe the push is further than the pull. So I believe the pull is like 5 meters and the push is something like 10. So you can push people further away than you can pull them in. So not super huge, but something to keep in mind. Another little thing is when you are using it, there's the highlight will change. I don't know if you'll be able to see it quality wise, but if you look at your target, they highlight just a little bit more when they're in range to be pushed or pulled. So again, just something to keep in mind. So little things like that, but I really like the push and pull. I pushed a Jeffrey off a cliff today. I was very, very happy about that. I sort of baited my teammates into it. They got scooped up by him and he went and spit him off the edge, and I followed right in and pushed him off after. So that felt really good. Moving on to, I don't know what it's called, the gravity ball, psionic vortex. I really like this. There's obviously a lot of utility with it. You can use it to do damage. It's not a ton of damage, but you can still chip people down with it. It sucks them in. I feel like it's not a very strong suck, unfortunately. I'm a little biased, but I would like it to be a little bit stronger, just because when I get dove, I don't really have any ways to deal with that outside of going invisible and kind of just running away. It would be nice if the suck was just a little bit stronger, because it doesn't feel like the enemy has any issues getting out of it again. But moving on from that, I really do like that orb. You can use it in a lot of different ways. I'll use it for so many things. I'll use it to know if there's somebody invisible nearby. If there's like a Psylocke hiding around a corner, you can pop it there, and obviously it's going to do damage to her. But it's also kind of good for blocking off like choke points, but also as an early warning system. So obviously you can hear people pretty well in this game. A lot of people have really loud footsteps, which is great. So you can kind of hear people flanking. But if you're a little bit further away, let's say there's 2 entrances into this area. We'll say the stairs and the doorway here. And you want to focus mainly here. You can toss your orb over there. And obviously, if you start getting damage ticks, you know somebody's coming from that direction. So using it like that has been really nice for me as well. But yeah, another thing, going back to the jump, because of the way the projectile is, it's basically a straight line, right? It's just going to shoot in a straight line. Don't be afraid to use your jump if you don't think you're going to need it. You can normally just jump to get a better angle, but you can also double jump and get an even better angle, right? Just to be able to place it in different places. Again, something simple like that to keep in mind. With the shields, you can actually spam it. So if you have a teammate that's moving around a lot, you can kind of just keep spamming it and repositioning it on them as they move forward, and they'll continue to get that heal. Because let's be honest, you don't always want to rely on your teammate to stay in your shield, right? Or they just might not be able to. They might need to be moving if another vortex orb or whatever gets thrown on them, stuff like that. You can keep spamming it and repositioning it and just keeping your team safe that way. Also on the topic of the shield, again, great with Punisher. He puts up his turret, you pop that. He can keep firing, and he has that 300-point shield to protect him for a little bit while he's on that turret, and just lets him get some more damage out, right? Really like the shield.
They look like they mean business.
One thing with the shield, do I have it on my notes here? Yeah, here. Make sure when you go into your settings, there's a little bit of a strange bind for her. It's just called ability 3. What that is that lets you drop the shield. So if I was to put my shield on this unit here, obviously he's not taking damage. We'll pop it here so it takes a little bit of damage. So yeah, well, it's a half. Now we move it back over here. So it's going to stay at 125 until it gets broken. It's going to stay there, right? Now, let's say the fight ends and it's at 125. You don't need the shield right now. So what you do, you hit that ability 3 button, and that's going to drop the shield. And you see, oh, you can't see it because I'm in the way. Let me hide myself real quick. There's your shield right there. So again, it gets busted up a little bit. We move it over here. It's going to stay there. I press Q. It's going to drop it, and it's going to immediately start recharging. So again, if you let the shield get down to, let's say, like 25 health and you just leave it out there, that next fight, somebody comes in and you want to pop your shield on your teammate. Well, guess what? Your shield's at 50 and now you don't get that full shield value. So make sure to use that ability button to drop that shield, get the regen, so you have a nice fresh 300 hit point shield going into the next fight. I think that's actually pretty important. But yeah, otherwise it's just going to stay there, and you're going to have a weak shield going into your next fight. So take advantage of that. Now she does have a melee. I don't think I've ever actively used it in a real game. So it's basically a 3-hit combo. And the last hit boops enemies away.
My kids fight harder.
Killed that one. So it boops them away. Honestly, I think you're just better off continuing to attack normally. Like if you get somebody that jumps on you, by the time you get to that boop and actually hit them away, you're probably dead. You're better off just sticking to your attack, because you can be healing, you can be dealing damage at the same time. I don't think I'll ever use the melee intentionally. So just a thought there. If you guys have any situations where you think the melee is good, I was wondering if you could like weave it in while doing normal attacks, but it just feels slower, right? Rather than just straight up attacking constantly. And again, you're outputting damage, you're healing, all that stuff. So yeah, the melee is kind of, I don't know, not my favorite, and I think a little bit useless, but it's there. So I kind of talked about this in another kind of tips and tricks video for just general characters, and one of them was Luna. Some of her attacks will penetrate your target. So if you're fighting and you got an ally in front of you, you can actually heal your ally while damaging the enemy behind them. You can totally do that with Invisible Woman. So you're always going to be a little bit more effective when you're hitting multiple targets, right? So if I have all my teammates lined up, I can be healing them both on the initial shot as well as the return shot. Same with enemies. I can be healing and damaging at the same time. So one of the more important things here is to know your positioning and kind of your angles, right? If you're fighting like this, you're trying to heal this guy while trying to heal this guy while trying to damage the enemy a little bit. If you stand in a different position, now you can heal multiple and maybe damage and heal. Your positioning and your angles are going to be very important with her to kind of maximize the efficiency of both your healing and your damage. So always be looking for those angles where you can position yourself and kind of hit multiple targets, because again, you're just going to be way more efficient that way, and you're just going to be better for your team. Now, something I personally haven't been able to test yet is shielding against ults. So from my understanding with Doctor Strange, who I don't play a ton, his shield can actually block line of sight on another Doctor Strange ult. So when he does the Eye of Agamotto, you can pop your shield and you will block it and not get hit by it. So I'm very curious. I haven't been in that situation yet, but if my teammate was about to get hit, could I stay far away and drop that shield on him and protect at least him and kind of be out of it myself, right? Something I need to practice a little bit myself or get in that situation. But beyond that, other ults as well. I don't know, will this protect against an Iron Man ult? If Iron Man hits the ground right there, can we all be standing behind this? If you've got crazy coordination, could you get a flying teammate to fly up in his face and then you shield that teammate before he gets the ult off and block it that way? A lot of stuff I want to test there that I haven't quite gotten around to, but I figured I'd point it out just in case you guys want to test it yourself. I think I've seen somebody have a shield up and protect themselves from a Namor ult. So there is the possibility there. And it's something I'm trying to be aware of in certain situations so I can try and test it. But I don't really have an efficient way to test it at the moment. But yeah, again, I wanted to point that out for you guys to maybe try it yourself and see what you can do. But yeah, I figure maybe a Strange ult, I can kind of sit back and shield my teammate and block that line of sight. I do have to do some more testing with her ult as well. Something I've done a few times, not all the time, but if a Punisher does his ult, sometimes I'll drop my ult on him so he can't see, and then we just back off as a team and kind of make him waste his ult. Obviously, I've used mine as well. But yeah, it's situational, and it could be a way to protect your team. If you're all out in the open, you drop it on him. I guess you could drop it on yourself as well. But yeah, just to block his line of sight so he can't really get as much value out of that.
They look like they mean business.
But yeah, I really like her ult. I don't know what the actual heal over time is. I don't know if I doubt it's as crazy as Luna's. It might be as effective as Mantis's at least, but it feels pretty good. Yeah, I do like it. Now, that's kind of it for the most part in terms of what I've discovered so far, or just through the short time I've had playing her. But there are some things that it's a little biased and it might end up being OP, but it would be nice if you had a little bit of extra movement speed when you went invisible. But again, I don't know, that might end up being a little too strong just because you're already invisible as it is. So it shouldn't be too hard to get away. But there are times where I feel a little slow and wish I was a little bit faster, but yeah, again, it might be a little bit too OP.
You've got trouble.
And then again, the gravity orb, I wish the suck on it was just a little bit stronger to help in the back line getting jumped by Spider-Men and Black Panthers and stuff like that. Just some way to have a little bit more of an escape. I don't want to just have to go invisible all the time and not really have a way to defend myself. But yeah, it is what it is for now. Again, I really like her. I'm really having a ton of fun with her. If it wasn't for Cloak and Dagger being so ridiculously strong right now, I'd probably be playing her all the time. But yeah, before I get too crazy and ramble on too much with these, I think that's pretty much it. Let me know if you guys have any stuff you've discovered with her, any cool little intricacies you found with her. I'm always willing to learn. I love learning new stuff, especially with new heroes that I enjoy
They
playing.
look like they mean business.
Yeah, I'm a big learner. I like to practice and find out new cool things. So if you got anything, let me know down below. But for now, that's gonna do it. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys got some useful stuff out of this. And yeah, I'll catch you all in the next one.